I'm ready to start the Welcome Back to the Public Pool podcast.
That, that felt painful for you.
You know, I'm running out of gas right now. How are you feeling?
I feel like I need to cough really bad, but I'm just going to like kind of fight through it because I'm a professional like that.
Good. Let me talk mostly. So if you were going to ask me how I was feeling, I was going to say I'm feeling pretty damn good because America's back, baby.
You just said you were running out of gas 2 seconds ago.
All gas, no brakes.
Okay.
Yeah, I might be running low on gas, but what I'm really running low on is the brakes. So I'm moving slow, but there's no stopping.
We've been gone for 2 weeks.
We have.
We took an accidental hiatus, so apologies.
We were like, oh, we don't have time 2 weeks ago. And then we came back from our trip.
Yeah, we went to a wedding. We were like, oh, we'll have time to like shoot one. And then as time got closer to like our recording day, it was like, oh yeah, we did not have the time today.
And then we got back, and the first thing that happened was we got like really sick for like a week. Like really sick. Like we were sick. We were sick Sunday night when we got back. So this was last Sunday night, or 2 Sunday nights ago for the listeners. Man, time flies because it was it was a fever dream. So it was 10 days.
Yeah,
we were out.
Yes,
and it was one of those ones too where it was like you would have a good day, and while I had a bad day, and then the next day we would switch.
Yeah.
So like one of us would kind of clean and do very, very little while the other one did nothing.
Yeah, basically the person who was feeling okay that day was like, I'm going to go
in charge.
I'm leaving the house to go get us more supply is like what it felt like.
I'm going out to search for food and medicine.
Yeah. I'm kind of convinced now that maybe we got like 2 viruses at the same time.
Or 3.
Yeah. I was banking on bird flu.
Yeah, you really thought that it was the birds. I just, looking it up, it sounds like the bird flu is just the flu. I don't know why we keep on.
So that's why I was like, maybe we have the bird flu because we were around some birds. We were in the Bahamas and
there were chickens.
Yeah, at the hotel we were staying at and like the restaurant we were eating at most of the time. So they just had chickens walking all over the place and they were going in and out of the kitchen. So I was like, yeah, birds were around the food we were in.
There were birds there.
There were birds.
Yeah. But we're back now.
But we are not feeling well. So sorry if we are a little bit off. But I'd say like our past week or so has just been kind of a fever dream.
It's been a fever dream where we had a lot of stuff due also.
Yes.
Like we actually had to do a lot.
Yeah. It was like a weird work week, but we got
it all done though.
Yeah. Try being an influencer, guys.
It's hard. Not easy.
It's so hard.
Listen, do you know how hard it is? No, don't laugh. Do you know how hard it is when I have to sleep in all the way till 10:30 as opposed to 9:30, my usual time, and I don't have to text anyone that I'm sleeping in. Do you know how hard that is?
It's hard.
It's hard. Like I wish I had, it's lonely. I wish I could text the boss and be like, oh my God, I'm so sorry, I'm sick. But I don't have to do that.
I know. I realized I was like, in a way, you guys are kind of our boss because I was like, we had to call out sick to them.
Yeah.
Via Instagram story. Oh yeah. I also realized that too. If you're not like following us on Instagram, that's the only place I like update like, hey, no episode, or like if we're doing any sort of like polls or whatever. So make sure not to plug our Instagram, but follow our Instagram.
You should.
There's just way more features on there. But I had to like basically call out via Instagram story.
Yeah. Like, hey.
And
sorry.
You know what though? When I used to work, like when I used to have like a job, like a job I'd have to go in for, I just like never called in sick.
What do you mean?
Like pre-COVID, it was just like I would just come to work sick. Like very rarely. I think of the job that we worked together, I called out one day.
Yeah.
And that's how everyone knew I was really sick. Was that?
Yeah.
And in hindsight, I think I had COVID. Like before they were like COVID.
You know what? Now that I think about it too, I was sent home.
Yeah, you were sent home
multiple times.
Yeah.
More than I ever called in sick.
I've been sent home, but I'm always like, I'll show up. I need to prove to you guys that I'm sick.
Yeah.
Our good friend Madeline we used to work with, she got me for like a Secret Santa thing, and she made me a perfect attendance award because I literally
always showed up.
I never called out sick.
You always showed up.
Even when I worked at the salon, it was like I never called out sick. I would just show up really sick, and then a manager would be like, "You need to go home."
Yeah, you're sneezing on the ladies' naked bodies because that's what you used to do.
Yeah,
wax them or sugar them. You know what? You're right though. We do work for the people. We're like politicians in that way.
We are public servants.
I like one thing I do like about politicians. I do like to remind them, you work for me, buddy. Because they don't. They do, but
it's
they
like telling
don't.
the police, it's like, I pay for your salary.
Yeah.
My tax dollars.
First of all,
I'm your boss.
Yeah, I'm your boss.
Arrest me.
It's like, well, actually, you don't pay the salary because you don't have to really pay any taxes because you don't have a job. But back to the topics, because we got a long list today.
Oh, you do?
No.
Okay. I was like, okay, Mr. Chit Chat Queen.
Well, I do got some stuff.
You got some stuff?
Well, some of it's... Should I just start by reading some of the things?
Sure.
Love is Blind spinoff. Love is Deaf?
Is that just Married at First Sight, though?
I don't know. I've never seen that one.
I mean, they do.
Okay, scrap it. Okay, scrap it. I'm not saying I'm not married to the idea. I'm not married to the idea. I was just throwing this off.
It's a look. It would be then a looks-based show.
Yeah, maybe that works.
They
better.
just can't talk.
Well, because the best part of Love is Blind to me is there's this sort of so Love is Blind. There's this sort of anticipation. I'm not going to describe the show because people who listen to this know what Love is Blind is, and if you don't, stop listening to us. I'm kidding. Just start watching Love is Blind.
It's literally so good.
It's so good. The best part of Love is Blind is you have how many episodes are they in the pods?
They used to do, I think, like 3 or 4.
Yeah.
And then this season they decided to do 6.
Okay.
So it was kind of dragged out.
So you have 6 episodes, 3 to 4 to 6 episodes.
And I do believe that it takes place over the span of like 2 weeks or something like that.
Yeah.
So it's like, it is a period of time.
So you have 2 weeks or, whatever, 6 episodes of we see who's talking to each other. Mm-hmm. And we're like, oh, they're getting along. Oh, they seem to really like each other. We can rate their looks wise.
Yeah.
And at least once a season, usually multiple, you're like, okay, that guy or girl is like a 9.
Uh-huh.
And this guy or girl is like, they're like a 5.
Yeah.
We'll call it a 5.
Because I will say, as much as like people, like a lot of, they do try to get like more average looking people or whatever. It's safe to say that everyone on the show is pretty like generically attractive.
I think it varies by season.
I guess so, but it's like,
because there was one season where it was sort of like, this really worked. Like, but they weren't super attractive.
Yeah. It's so funny because it's like with the show, it's like they have the opportunity to get people who aren't conventionally attractive or like
which
whatever.
I think they should.
I kind of think so too.
Yeah.
That kind of feels like maybe the experiment would work better that way. I don't know.
It makes more sense. But so there's this moment where you're like, very rarely is it equal.
Yeah.
Usually there's always.
This season, I will say, they kind of all do match a lot in like a weird way where it's like, if I were to basically line up all the people who have coupled up this season, I think I would have paired them with the person that they're with.
This season, they're more attractive, I think.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is.
I think in general, I just saw and honestly, I'm acting like I watch every episode. I don't. I watch them here and there while you're watching them, but I get a good gist. And I pause and I say, okay, what's their deal? This season, it really felt like at the bachelor party and the bachelorette party, I was like, everyone on screen's pretty attractive.
Yeah.
To some extent.
Yes.
I can't get enough. The best part is the reveal. Uh-huh. And you're like, oh shit. Ugo's about to meet Hottie. Yeah. And you're like, what's Hottie gonna do? And half the time, Hottie's a good person and they get married. And the other half of the time, you have what happened with the Pam and Roy characters this season.
Oh, yeah.
Where it's like, you can tell from the second that they talk to each other in real life, the guy is trying to figure out his way out of this situation. How do I land this plane?
Yeah.
And they never do it well.
No, they don't. So that guy, I think his name is Dave. He's the one who this season you made me almost turn off the episode while you were on the couch with me because he wouldn't stop asking everyone if they've had sex yet.
It was very, very hard to watch for me.
It was very hard to watch. I felt
bad for him, honestly.
No, they gave him a really bad edit because I'm sure a lot of people were asking that question.
Yeah.
He just apparently asked that question to everyone. Like, are you guys having sex yet?
It sucks for him, actually. But then again, for all we know, that's literally the only thing he talked about.
Yeah, who knows?
Like, we don't have anything else for him to say. All he did was question whether or not. So I guess it's been 2 weeks at least. Maybe he's like, I got a pop.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of time. It's been a while.
It's been a minute.
Davey Horny. That's what he's trying to let everyone know.
I know. I do think that going back to the reveal thing, I think there was I didn't watch the season. I don't watch any of the other places. I think I want to say they did like an Ireland season or something like that. And
I'm out.
Again, I was way too like the accents. I can't.
Yeah.
I can't hear you.
It's just a different world if you can't relate to them.
Yeah.
Like I did like the one part of the British season that you watched at least part of. Or did you finish that?
Of Love is Blind?
Yeah, there was a British season.
Maybe they were British. I don't know.
Oh, well.
I don't know.
You were watching part of it, and I did love, it would be like, somebody would go, hello. And the other person would go, you from Reddenhamshire?
Yeah.
And they would go, yeah. And like, I could tell from the accent. It's like, one, I never even heard of the place.
I know.
Two, you guys sound the exact same.
Yeah, right?
Like, you're from, the different locations.
Yes.
So the fact that we can't relate to that.
Yeah. But I think, I want to say it was a Brazil season or something like that. They did have a girl who like was plus sized. Mm-hmm. And during the reveal, I think the guy was like, I'm out. And it's like certain places, I was about to say, they don't play that shit. No, and it's like this is like the murky line with reality TV show. It's like the reason America's Next Top Model was so good was because Tyra Banks was evil to these girls. Yeah. Like evil. Dance Moms, this adult woman yelling at children and women's like most like of like the best quote unquote like reality TV shows over the years were because they took place in the early 2000s. People were allowed to be evil to each other.
And do you know why they were evil to each other? There's literally one person. Simon Cowell. American Idol became the biggest show in the world. And it was like, why? Because one of the judges is an asshole and is honest. And then I think everyone else was like, I guarantee you for Tyra Banks, they talked to her like, be Simon Cowell.
Yeah.
And her version of Simon Cowell is evil.
Evil.
Simon Cowell's, the version of Simon Cowell is honest. Blunt. Yeah. She wasn't honest or blunt. She was manipulative and twisted.
Evil.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
And Dance Moms is adults who work with children out of a school setting are either heroes or villains. There's no like,
Yeah, because even when we were watching the old Dallas Cowboys cheerleader show, not the new one that's on Netflix, but the original one. Yeah. We kind of went through that because we had a channel that they were evil to those girls. They were like, hey, you're up 5 pounds from last season. Like, you got to lose that.
Which,
fatty.
you know, my take, you're signing up for the fucking Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders. What are you expecting? Like, there's certain limits.
Yeah.
But it also is like, hey, this is a looks-based organization.
Yeah. But it's just so weird to like look back on all those shows and it's like, they're so good kind of because everyone was evil.
Yeah.
And it's like, now we live in a world where it's like probably net positive.
And we wonder why Hooters is closing. We wonder why Victoria's Secrets is closing. It's the thing of like, not everyone, maybe you're not cut out to be a model. That's okay. No one is. Yeah. Like 12 people are. It's okay that, I don't know.
But it's like with Love is Blind, it's like, man, this really could have been a show with an opportunity for them to kind of go back to evil roots. Yeah. But I think they're too afraid to do it. It's just not going to happen.
I just love the idea of love is deaf for, and I'll tell you why. Because there's the obvious like, well, what's the point? It's married at first sight. No. This is the opportunity for the producers to find the people. Have you ever seen that? There's a really good video, a hilarious video. I think it's a British show actually, where it's one of the most genius bits ever. It's like a British daytime talk show, and they brought on like 12 people who have the most unique laughs.
Yes. And that's like my favorite video ever.
And one of them starts laughing, and they're all laughing with their unique laughs, and they're all like, one person's like, ho, ho, and the other person's like, hee, hee, and it's just the most, it sounds like you're in the jungle.
Yes.
I want, get those people, where it's like, okay, you're really attracted to them. And then it's Janice from Friends, like, hi.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yes.
Find the craziest, weirdest, most annoying voices.
You get a nice Fran Drescher.
Get a butter voice.
Yeah. A butter voice.
Get a butter voice and have one of them be really deaf.
Oh my God. Yeah.
It could work.
Yeah, it could. I don't know. Yeah, I've been eating up Love is Blind. I know a lot of people are saying that like, oh, it's a boring season. I kind of liking it.
It's always good. Some seasons are better than others, but it's this.
It's like pizza. When it's bad, it's still good.
Which is why, like you pointed out, they're using like legit music now.
Yeah, they got a budget this year
instead of the usual Netflix copyright free. And I'm like, why? They're literally just throwing money away. People were going to watch it. They don't need Selena Gomez's song underneath it. Use the copyright free one.
Honestly, they should save that money and give them a bigger budget for their weddings. Like I actually would like to see more of a.
Well, the weddings seem.
It seems very like, hey,
Or does it seem generic to you?
It seems very generic. It feels very like, hey, you can invite 30 people and we're doing this ceremony. Obviously, we don't know what's going to happen. Yeah. So why would we pay for like the full, and we don't see the receptions really either. So it's kind of like.
Do they have a reception?
I think so.
Is it a group reception?
No, because they do all their weddings on different days.
Man, that must be exhausting for the production being like, well, we have another wedding today.
Yeah. But I just don't think, because I think they're like, if they say yes, then they have the reception. But if they say no, then that's it. You know,
we save the food.
But it's like, I almost would want to see, because wedding planning was very stressful.
Oh, yeah.
So I almost kind of want to see those couples go through like legit wedding planning.
I mean, that'll bring you, no, because they want some people to get married.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
Like, imagine if we didn't know each other so well going into wedding planning. Like, a big part of it was basically each of us holding each other's hands during the hard parts.
Yeah.
Like, we knew what were your tasks and what were mine. Mine were to be bad cop when it was needed.
Yeah, I was gonna say, although like if that were to come out like during the getting to know each other process, I think I would have been like really attracted to you, because I'd been like, you're taking charge and fixing this thing for me.
One, yes, but two, also knowing you would not have let me do it, because you would have been like, no, you don't have to do any, you know?
Yeah.
But by then, honestly, it took a while for you to let me be back up. We're like, God damn it, let me talk to this woman.
I know.
And I was like, the price is too high, Wendy.
I know. Sorry, I keep coughing, guys. I'm trying to keep it to a minimum.
Okay.
I just need you to shush me every time I cough.
Enough. No more coughing. Okay, next on my list. Art is stupid. Okay. There was just some like art exhibit where I was like, this is...
I do have one topical thing.
Give it to me. Yeah.
For this week.
None of this is necessary. None of the stuff on my list.
I know, because we have...
Everything's politics now.
Each of us have notes of like, obviously like stuff to bring up on the podcast and stuff like that. But because we've taken the past 2 weeks off, I have a lot of things written down that I'm like, oh, well, it's not really relevant anymore.
Yeah.
But big news. Someone joined TikTok. One of your favorite celebrities.
My favorite celebrities. Can you give me a genre? Chris Angel, Mind Freak.
No. It's not actually one of your favorite celebrities. Oh. But okay, we can play a game. Florida woman, strained relationship with her parents.
Wait, I saw it's Casey Anthony. So remind me, Casey Anthony, because this is where I get lost. She's the one who killed her baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well, because there's the one who was stuck in an Italian prison and she was innocent.
Which one was that one?
It's another name with Casey Anthony. Amanda Knox.
Oh, yeah. That was a whole other thing. She's kind of on a social media campaign too. I'm team
Knox.
She's trying to clear her name.
She just was totally innocent. The goddamn Mussolini Italians framed her.
They framed her.
It was ridiculous.
Because didn't she go and call her daddy or something?
I'm sure, because she was innocent. And it was like, yeah, honestly, she should be given money by Italy. They made her seem...
But was she legit innocent though?
Yeah. The person who killed her was the person who killed her roommate was the roommate's boyfriend.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, they just like...
They were able to pin it on her. Yeah.
They like didn't even do an investigation. They just like put her in jail.
Yeah.
And then the tabloids just ran with it. And they were like, American Amanda Knox. And then she was basically in solitary confinement for like 8 years.
Yeah.
Until finally, I forget what happened, but they like had to pull out all the details. I'm like, wait, no, the boyfriend, his DNA is on the blood.
He did it. Yeah. Yeah. I think Amanda Knox is now married and has kids. I think she's
good for her.
Moving on with life.
Good for her. Way. And you know what? Maybe she got away with it. I don't know.
Yeah.
The point is she going to do it again? Just don't.
Probably not. Just don't do it again.
Just don't go back to Italy.
Just don't go back there. My God.
I mean, she's never killed someone outside of Italy that we know of. So that seems to be the problem.
Yeah. But yeah, so Casey Anthony is now on TikTok. She's claiming that she's like a legal advocate because she's just like, I've worked in the system now. And I was like, no, you were being tried by the system, girlfriend. Were you saying they were wrong? Because you're a free woman. Are you saying they were wrong?
You're saying they were? That's absurd. So one, I kind of love it. As terrible as it is, it's like, oh my God, actually, it's awful. She's truly the devil. She's truly the devil. It's like her and OJ are the ones where it's like, how did they get off? Like, it's kind of amazing. Weirdly, she's worse than OJ to me. because he's a man, so I forgive him. But good also because what she did, I don't know, like she's weirdly worse than OJ to me for whatever reason, just because OJ seemed so like neutered in my lifetime, where it was like, it's fucking OJ Simpson.
Yeah.
Like nobody respected him. Like he seemed more like a punchline.
Yeah.
Interesting. And so she's just making like legal TikToks?
I think she was trying to, and then I think immediately everyone was like, absolutely not. I think she was hoping for like a Gypsy Rose moment, but it's like Gypsy Rose was a victim, honey. Like
Yeah. No, you're no Gypsy Rose.
Yeah.
Well, right now with the Menendez brothers, they're like,
yeah.
You see all that stuff?
Crime is hot right now.
Relitigating crime is really hot.
Yeah.
Pulling up the files. All it takes is one case to be like, well, did you know? And all of a sudden they're like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Maybe bin Laden didn't do it.
Yeah.
You know?
I know it was crazy on, I don't know if you guys watched the Kardashians, but Kris Jenner was talking about the Menendez brothers because Kim Kardashian works with Ryan Murphy on, she's going to be on like a legal show that he's making. And
didn't he already make a Menendez brothers show?
So he did.
Yes. Okay.
So in the episode, she's talking about like Ryan Murphy's making this Menendez brothers show. And so that's how it came up. And Kris Jenner was like, oh my God, you know that like I knew him or whatever. And I was like, just what a crazy life for that weird little like Beverly Hills.
Well, Beverly Hills
square.
is small.
No, very small.
That's the weird part. Is like you're in and out of Beverly Hills in a minute. So if you live there and somebody else lives there, you know them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's just so weird. I forgot where I was going with that. But I don't know. The Kardashians has been.
Yeah.
People keep saying that Kardashians is boring. I will say their Hulu version is much more boring. Also,
this season's better though. I
think this season. I think people are giving it a hard time. I think Chloe gives it her all. Chloe has kept the show on her back for such a long time. Like it's crazy. Like Kim, because obviously Kim can kind of like have to, where she's like she's always has a thing that she's working on, so they can show the like she's shooting this Skims thing. She's doing this fashion show. She's doing this thing, but she's doing interesting stuff that they cover. Yeah, so it's like we get to see like what Kim does for work. We don't really get to hear too much about like Kim being like, I'm dealing with my crazy ex-husband or like any of that. That
her situation is the one situation where I'm like, no, I can see not in bringing the Kanye storyline in.
No, absolutely.
Just so he doesn't come on and say a bunch of like Nazi rhetoric.
No, absolutely.
You know? Yeah. Like it's not.
But it's like we don't really get to hear too much about like Kim's dating life or like stuff like that. It's like Kim doesn't really share.
Is she back to dating?
Apparently she's back to dating, but like she's not gonna like tell us who.
Yeah.
Like we missed all of OBJ. Like he's not gonna.
Were they ever really dating?
Yeah.
You think so?
They were out and about holding hands and were seen very publicly together.
Yeah.
But it's like she's not going to talk about him on the show. And
it's funny, just for me knowing, for my world, he's out of my world. Yeah. It's like, I mean, Odell Beckham Jr. is not a very serious person. His dad's more serious than he is. His dad's all over Twitter.
I was going to say, I don't know who his dad is. Is he just like a
Odell Beckham Sr.?
Senior? Oh, yeah.
You know his name.
Oh, yes.
His dad, he's one of those players. It's kind of a new trend now. Where a player will be on a team and like their mom or dad, and it's 50-50. Half of them are moms, or like, this coach sucks. My boy should be getting the ball more. And you're like, that coach is freaking Sean McVay. Yeah. Like he's the best coach in the NFL. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's why like her dating him, I was like, that feels more like I know Kim Kardashian well. I know OBJ well. And I just can't see them ending up together.
No, definitely not. And also, he was linked to Chloe in like 2016. They were out partying. I think he dated Chloe. Like,
he's all about it.
He's all about it.
Yeah.
But it's like we're not going to hear that. But it's like Chloe on this season of the Kardashians just had Lamar come back on.
That was really intense.
And it's like that was really intense. That was really real. That was crazy.
Yeah.
Like we're not going to get that from anyone else on the show to be like, we're going to like really rehash this. And like, they like really talked about the Lamar situation this time around. Like, obviously we knew what happened as a public, but it was like very much them just always being like, well, obviously like dealing with Lamar and this and that. Yeah. Like it was just kind of implied, but this time it was like, they came in, they sat down, they talked about like all of the horrible details of everything. And it was like, we didn't know any of this.
And I will say, I love Chloe. I thought she was a little harsh.
I don't think she was.
I think he is a very fragile person.
I think he is.
And
he did cheat on her for like their whole relationship.
Listen, babe. Listen, baby, I don't know all the details. Okay, I didn't know that.
I have.
Although I will say,
I have a ton of sympathy for Lamar. I'm not like I don't hate Lamar. I just
really, because it sounds like you're attacking him and everything he's about.
No,
you said it's all his fault. You said he should own it. All I know is just all the details that even Chloe gave before he came in was basically like, yeah, his father's the worst human alive, and like wanted him to die for insurance money, and his friend stole all of his stuff while he was in a coma. And I just kept on thinking, I was like, so that's why he does drugs.
Yeah.
He's not from
he's absolutely a victim.
Beverly Hills.
No, his like mom died when he was like 12. Like he's absolutely a victim to his circumstances.
Yeah.
Like
and
that's
he's a
not
giant man who can't hide.
Yeah.
It's tough.
He was very lucky that he was able to play professional sports. Like that was his like
Tristan Thompson. Like, to me, Tristan Thompson doesn't have excuses.
No.
Lamar, I'm like, dude, holy shit, I can't imagine that being my home.
Yeah. But it's like just the type of thing where it's like, just because you are dealing with mental illness or whatever, it's like, it's still not an excuse to be horrible to other people.
Look, all I'm saying is, all I'm saying is, and you're going to take this the wrong way, but think about it. Think about this. Like, Hitler he was kicked out of art school. Like, do you know how hard that is on you? To be denied
of art school.
He was rejected. Have you ever been somebody go rejected to you?
You know
no,
what?
You haven't. So
he
who
did
are you
a lot
to say?
Of bad things,
so
but he went through a lot.
Yeah, I'm not saying I support what he did. I'm not saying I get why he did it. I'm just saying that like
the art school rejection is hard.
It's so hard. You don't know how you would react. So why are you throwing stones? You've never been rejected from an art school, have you? Yes. And yet everyone's judging. Ridiculous. Lamar, same situation.
I know.
Exact same.
One time I held Lamar's credit card in my hand and I tried to like take a picture with my mind.
Ching. Ching.
I was like,
Ching.
When I was working at the salon, his like at the time, I think fiance, she would like come into my location all the time. And one time I was just checking her out and she handed me her card and it just said Lamar Odom. I was like, no way.
It's no fucking way. So I'm starting to come around more to Gen Z, by the way.
Okay. Please share.
I'm starting to be Team Z.
Did you watch one of those like millennial cringe compilations?
No.
Those usually kill me.
Well, those really kill me too.
The one video that really kills both of us is the girl who says that. I can't even say it.
She's talking about, let me do it, and then I'm going to erase it from my mind. It's this stupid woman, awful, awful woman. And she's talking about Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift. And the gist of it is she keeps on calling Travis Kelce a big boy.
Large boy. And her a small girl. And it's a problem. And it's a thing that my generation has to deal with. I'm on the younger side of this generation, but we have to take care of the older ones, and some of them should go out to pasture, but I'm not calling for their deaths. I'm calling for their voices. I want them to go to a farm upstate.
What's so bad about that?
Okay. With the dogs.
What's so bad about a re-education camp? Just be like, hey, welcome to the world. Anyway, Gen Z, there was a study coming out or they did like a poll or whatever. And basically it was revealed, and this is a thing that I know you and I disagree about, and I'm on Team Z on this one, where they don't like, they're basically they are upset with when there's random nudity in movies and television. And I totally agree.
I agree too.
Whenever there's oh, tits out, I'm like what? But also
like when it doesn't add to the plot, it's like for what?
But when does it ever add to the plot? And granted, I love boobies.
Do you? You're getting a little too good at sports gossip.
I know. It's a question. And I didn't like the amount of penises in Game of Thrones.
They were showing.
Oh my God. It was all Game of Thrones.
I didn't know that.
Like Game of Thrones was I'd say the majority of nudity was just dicks.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
It was really weird. But it's just like.
When did they ever show like cooch in any of these shows?
I think so, but the way they get around it is Bush.
Bush
covers cooch.
Bush is back. People are trying to make a push for Bush.
I don't like it.
I think Bush is, if you want to bush it. If you don't.
But
Bush is kind of becoming chic.
When like you can see like Bush popping out through like the bathing suit.
Yeah, you need a little trim.
I mean, what are we doing here?
Yeah. That's
isn't that sort of count as, do pubes count as nudity?
I don't think so.
Like, I think you can show it on like Instagram and like you're technically fine.
I think you can too. There was actually a Shein review that went really viral recently where it was a girl reviewing a bikini. She's at full bush and everyone was like, I'm kind of inspired by her. And honestly, girl boss.
You women are nuts. You're crazy. Men, this is just for us now. This is our podcast. We're taking it back. Golden age, baby.
You cannot leave me out of the pubes conversation.
Okay.
You know that.
Let's have it.
You know I love pubes.
I know you do.
Well, not love pubes, but I'm a pube expert. Okay?
You are. That's literally was your job. But your job was to remove them.
But there's not just Brazilian waxes. Did you know that there's a difference between bikini and Brazilian?
Of course I didn't. You think I did?
And you were trying to have the pube conversation without the pube expert?
Actually, rewind. I knew that there was because you wouldn't have two terms. But I didn't know the difference. And we don't have to go into the difference. I trust you. But you saying that you love pubes and your job was to remove them is a lot like an exterminator saying they love bugs. No? No? Yes or no?
Well, who's to say I didn't take all the pubes home with me?
Did you?
There's no evidence of me doing it, but there's no evidence of me not.
So up in the air, Casey Anthony, up in the air.
I have actually been, oh my God, I've been asked before.
What?
If by girls, if they could take their stuff home.
Why?
Because they can sell it.
Men are the problem. Back to the women. There's just such a weird, and this is what the Zoomers get. They're like, we've gone too far. Why is everything excessive?
Yeah.
What is going on with this? But apparently, though, it's the theory is the reason why they're like, is because they're the generation that grew up where from the time they had their porn was just all over.
It's just available. It's not the shock factor anymore where you're like, I know that this movie that I'm getting on DVD has one scene where this girl is topless.
Yes. And that's how I used to watch movies. Now I don't have to. So now I'm like, no, continue with the plot. I can see boobs when I want. I can look at boobs while I'm watching the show.
Literally, you could Google boobs.
You're wasting my time. You know? You're wasting my precious time while I play on my phone.
Yeah.
Watching porn.
Because I already need the screen in front of the screen. You know?
Of course.
So it's like, don't distract me to add an extra layer.
Yes.
Like I need to play my games.
Yeah.
While watching my show. Or
You're
my
only
movie.
human.
I'm only human.
What do they expect? George Washington would have said the same thing.
I know. Was I?
Oh no, back to my list. Apparently Drake was at. Did you see that? Did you see this?
Drake was at where?
I'm doing the jail now. You see this? You guys heard about this?
You heard about this?
Apparently Drake was at WWE's Elimination Chamber match.
Like, was he in it or just there?
He was there, but he chose to stay hidden and never acknowledged the camera. He just kind of watched from the crowd.
He wanted to be a spectator, okay?
He wanted to enjoy the sport.
Okay, he's a big fan of the sport.
Who isn't? He likes the spectacle. Who doesn't love a good show? And he didn't want it to be all about him, which is obviously a real change of pace because, I mean, in my world, in the sports world, Drake is made fun of for, like, literally there's the funniest picture ever of him. I think it's either UNC or Kentucky, but one of the top men's college basketball programs, and they're all in like a classroom, basically studying tape, and they're all wearing their I'm gonna guess Kentucky. They're all wearing their Kentucky jumpsuits or whatever while the coach is talking, and he's wearing a Kentucky jumpsuit, and he's sitting at the desk with a pencil, and it's like, dude, you're not on the fucking team.
I've seen him do that at NBA games where he's hugging the players, and
it's like, dude, you're not on the fucking team. You're not, and you can't.
I kind of love him for it.
I know it's dorky as shit, and I respect it.
Like, that's my thing. Is like, okay, obviously, if the allegations against Drake are true, I don't like him. I'm out. I've distanced myself from liking Drake because of the allegations, etc. But overall, like, if we were to take that out before all this, the fact that Drake is dorky is kind of what drew me to him.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm saying and that's what drew to me.
And it's so funny because I'm like, in my head, I'm like, well, he's kind of safe. But
he does feel very non-threatening.
He may be unsafe, but
yeah, I was about to say, I was like, well, how unsafe? Did he ever do anything?
I don't know. That's the thing is like, it seems to be the rumor, so it's like, okay, yeah, probably he likes young girls. I don't know.
I don't know.
But it's like The only other time where it was like the only like hard evidence thing was one of those things where I think he like made out with a girl on stage at a club, but she was underage. But it's like when you're in a club,
he got Akon.
Yes,
that's different. Well, so obviously everybody throws that away. That doesn't count.
That's why it's like you have to assume in certain settings everyone's over a certain age.
Yes.
So that's where I'm like that's unfair. But I don't know. It did seem a little funky that he was buddy with Millie Bobby Brown. I will say that.
He just likes Stranger Things, and he wanted to know more about the making of the show.
Yeah.
He wanted to know more behind the scenes info.
To know.
And instead of reaching out to any of the adults in the show, he reached out to the 14-year-old.
Yes.
That's different, sweetie. It's so different. Okay.
But his new song, I tossed it on the other day. I was like, unfortunately, I like it.
I know. I haven't heard it yet.
Unfortunately, it's a hit.
It's a hit. It's a vibe.
A little bit.
So you kind of tell that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Does he like kind of, like, does it sound like he's singing, but you're like, it sounds like he's almost pretending to sing?
Yes.
Yeah.
That
sounds, I really can't wait to hear it.
You know what? Maybe the reason I like Drake, I'm throwing my hand up for audio listeners.
You like Trouble.
No, I was going to say his songs just, I think, make me think of summer a little bit. And I'm like, okay, it's warming up. It's Drake's out. You know?
Okay, see, that works for me. That makes sense.
Maybe that's why I'm like drawn to Drake's music, is because I'm kind of like, it's time for the girls to come out.
Reminds you of summer, yeah.
I don't know.
When it's hot outside.
Yeah. But it's the thing where it's like, obviously Kendrick Lamar is so much better than Drake. Like, objectively a better rapper. But it's like, that's why I'm like, I kind of consider Drake like a pop star.
No, he's definitely more pop than rap. He definitely is. Anyway, so there was just a twist for him. And then my final note is, I have a few more, I guess. Tornadoes versus earthquakes. What's scarier?
Tornadoes. I'm way more scared of tornadoes.
Tornadoes are scarier, but earthquakes are more threatening.
I guess so. I don't know. I don't like the alarm that comes with tornadoes.
The alarm is terrifying.
That's a little much.
The alarm is terrifying. There was
as a Sharknado survivor.
Yes.
I'm gonna say.
Well, you have PTSD.
Tornado. I have PTSD from the Sharknado.
Although I would be way more scared of a Sharknado than a tornado.
Should I make that my bio, Sharknado survivor? That's pretty good.
That's a pretty good one.
Although Girl Bossing and Silent, it's really good.
Yeah.
What's yours?
Mine's
Well-behaved women rarely make history.
I still think it's the funniest
I think
thing.
that's really funny.
And you know what though? It's not aging well because you don't see those on people's profiles anymore.
Yeah.
Like there was like a year where that was every other girl I went to schools with profile, and I was like, how are you misbehaving? How on earth are you misbehaving? You're just doing what everyone else is doing.
She's stirring up the marketing firm.
It was the girl boss time.
Yeah.
It was a girl boss time.
It is the girl boss era.
Where basically it was like, be the worst person.
Yeah.
And we'll be like, that's because she's like she was a man, you wouldn't say anything. It's like, well, she was a man, she'd be in jail. So it'd be different. But no, I know. You know what though? It's like, so I saw just a question of like, does anyone else take tornado warnings too seriously? Because that's a real thing when you live in Tornado Alley. And like Virginia obviously didn't have crazy tornadoes, but it's like we had tornadoes.
There was a warning at your brother's high school graduation. Remember that? That scared me. I was not a fan of that.
Oh yeah.
I was not a happy
camper. And I don't even remember it.
I know. Because everyone was like acting super chill. We were like in a gym, so I guess that was the best place we all could have been.
It's really
But like I was like, guys.
Like here's what I'll say. For the people who don't, if you are from where tornadoes are, this will be boring because you're like, yeah, I know. It's really hard to get hit by a tornado. You know when they're coming, you see them coming.
I guess.
They're pretty much on a straight line or on a predictable path. And it's like, hey, we have 2 hours, get out of the way. Like it's not that
I have a stupid
tough.
question.
Yeah.
Do tornadoes come in the night?
So rarely.
But it can happen.
And that's where all the crazy tornado damage happens, is when they do come at night, because that's where hey, it just ran through a town.
That's what happened the one time I went to, not that there was no tornado, but the one time I went to Texas, I literally couldn't sleep because I was like, what if a tornado comes in the middle of the night?
So that's why I'm like, tornadoes are less scary, but it's also like, that you're so cute. What if a tornado comes? It's possible here. It's like, yeah.
I was in an Airbnb. I was like, I don't know where their basement is. I don't know what we're supposed to do. I felt unprepared and I didn't like it.
And I get that, but that's the thing for me with earthquakes, where it's like, I'm not that scared of earthquakes, because earthquakes seem way chiller than they actually are.
Yeah.
Earthquakes are like, whoa.
Yeah.
Bumpy.
They're startling where you're
yes.
like, because once you like register, oh, this is an earthquake. You're like, oh shit. But by the time you've registered, I should probably
it's over.
Get into like door frame or like whatever you practice, like under a desk. It's like, it's over.
Yeah.
You never really have the time to jump under something.
When I was in high school, my school, like all schools, had like a tornado shelter. Mm-hmm. And because I went to the school, I think we've talked about it on the podcast before, but I went to school literally across from the CIA.
Yeah.
So I went to school with a lot of politicians' kids. Like we had Secret Service all over the school. And it's also just in DC, there's the additional threat of what if a dirty bomb is dropped, which it's just like a gas bomb. What if they like gas?
Side note, I've never really appreciated the term Secret Service. What's their secret?
I can't tell you. I can't tell
you. It's
like
Victoria's Secret.
It is. I've always wondered, why do we call them that?
It's a secret.
Because it's not secret.
It's not secret.
They're
sweeping.
I don't know why we call them that.
I don't know. Anyways, sorry.
But so our tornado shelter was also decked out for like, if it can fit the entire school. It was really big. It was built under the school. It could fit the entire school, and it had like supplies.
Yeah.
For like a month, whole school for a month.
That's crazy.
Food, water, everything. And so we found it, and so we obviously started eating the food. And I remember thinking, if anything happens, like we're the bad guys.
Yeah.
In the movie. The movie's like, well, why?
Where's all the supplies?
Why did the children have to start eating each other? Well, so it's funny. So we got high and a little drunk during math. And so we went down, we ate like all the Nutri-Grain bars. It's like, I remember like, we're going to be the bad people on the Wikipedia page.
Yeah.
But it was Jack O'Shea and his gang.
His gang.
Who thought it'd be funny to break in and eat the survival supplies. Yeah.
Yeah, we only had earthquake drills.
Yeah.
Because that's what we had.
And we never had an earthquake drill.
Yeah, that's so interesting.
Yeah, it just never really happens.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess just general fire drill. But
so tornadoes versus earthquakes. I think it's a cultural thing.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Because I grew up with earthquakes, I'm less scared of earthquakes. Although I am scared of earthquakes because every time I feel, even here now that we live away from an earthquake zone, every time I feel like a movement, I'm like, is that an earthquake? Like I still have that feeling.
Baby, you can't feel a breeze without thinking a ghost is behind you though. You're a nervous person.
And
and so,
I don't know what to tell you.
I do.
And am I not the most prepared person you've
you're
ever met?
very prepared.
Okay.
And I'm happy I live with
If we
you.
run into fire, earthquake, ghost,
Yeah.
burglar, I'm ready.
You have the things prepared.
I'm prepped.
I'm ready.
I don't think you are, because the one time that you thought that fucking burglars were breaking into our house,
And I apologize.
you opened the door.
One time, Michaela's car got broken into. This is.
I think we've talked about it a little bit because we talked about me being like, no, it's fine, I don't have to press charges.
Yeah.
But so when that happened, though, we were awoken by police officers
like
at
5 a.m.
Yeah.
And there's knocks on the door. And so I got up and I went and I looked through the people and I just saw people wearing all black. And I was like, all right, here we go. And I opened the door. And I should have never told you that was my thought process.
Because that made me be like, okay, so I can't trust him.
Or I was opening ready to fight. That's what I did.
No, what, 4 against 1?
Yeah.
You're not John Wick.
I'm John O'Shea.
I mean,
I could have been a hero, babe.
You don't think that the best option is to keep a door between you and the burglars?
I don't.
The deadbolted door.
I was like still asleep.
I know.
And that's the problem.
That is the problem too. Because one time there was an earthquake in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
And I woke you up to be like, babe, there was an earthquake.
And I said, okay.
And you went back to
well, what do you want me to say?
Because it was like a somewhat.
What was the Richter scale?
Yeah.
We don't know.
It was a bigger earthquake. I had already checked Twitter. Like I was like, babe, there was an earthquake.
And I was like, well, is it over? Did anything break? Is everything fine?
Oh, well, you
Good
have to prep for aftershocks. The aftershocks can be worse. You never know.
When did we get hit by the aftershocks?
No, there wasn't. But when
I'll respond to it then.
I don't know if you would. I'm just saying you think you're super prepared for things, and I don't think you are.
I'm not saying I'm prepared. I said I am the. When the shit hits the fan, you give me the tools and the go bag or whatever. You think that we need to use, if we ever need to use the go bag, you're telling me that I'm not going to be the one carrying the go bag and both of our dogs while we run?
Maybe. I don't know. I can also grab those things.
And we get swallowed by the tsunami. That's what happens when you're carrying all that stuff. Then we get eaten up.
We're going to get a tsunami in Las Vegas.
Don't jinx it.
Don't jinx it.
Yeah.
I know.
It could be the big one. We're due. That's what they say. We're due.
We're due.
We're very due.
We're very due for the big tsunami.
Yeah.
I always love that talk with earthquake. They're like, we're due for the big one. I'm like, are we? Do we know? I think the whole thing with earthquakes is that we actually don't know a whole lot about them.
Yeah.
And so I don't think we could be due for one.
Well, whenever they're like, well, yeah, they say that like it erupts or like the earthquake happens like once every 10,000 years. And it's been like 9,084 years. It's like that with a span that wide, the give or take, the rounding error, like the margin of error there isn't like 4 weeks. It's like 300 years.
Yeah.
So it happens every 600 to 2,000 years. It's like, well, then we're pretty much fine.
Because I remember they used to say too, the small earthquakes actually, it's like, no, it's building more tension. Like it's not.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I think if anything, it's relieving.
That would make more sense to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what do I know?
What on earth do we know?
What do I know?
I don't even believe them.
I went to freaking beauty school. What do I know?
How do they know what the layers of the earth are? There's always these like, well, it's this, it's outer crust, it's inner crust.
We haven't even been able to drill past the first layer.
We can't even get close.
Yeah.
It's all theory.
It's all theory.
Like even these plates. I mean, I used to say at our old job, this whole like Pangaea idea, real convenient.
I think we can say that Pangaea
You
was
sound
real.
like everyone.
I am a Pangaea believer.
Why?
I'm a Pangaea apologist.
This is my question to everybody.
Because it makes perfect sense.
Because it looks pretty.
It makes perfect. Everything fits in like a puzzle.
If you jostle the pieces around, everything fit like a puzzle. I'm great at Tetris.
It literally fits like a perfect puzzle.
And it's very. You know what? You're right. It's too big to be a coincidence.
Unless they're lying to us about, which I will be like, okay, you got me there.
Yeah.
Unless they're lying to us about like the satellite images of Earth, like the actual shapes of things.
Well, now we're going real far. I mean, that's a conversation for another time.
That's a conversation for another time.
It's a conversation we will have.
Yeah.
Another time. But like they always say too, you know how they always say, like we move an inch closer to Japan every year.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, in like 3,000 years, like California and Japan will touch. Yeah. Bullshit. That's real far.
I think we will though.
That's so, according to who? Bob, the freaking geologist?
Yeah.
What does he know?
Geology.
They don't even know what's underneath our feet, but they're just saying it's inner crust. We don't know this.
What is inner crust?
I don't know. It's loam. Or those are other words. Sediment. They say that too.
That's a good one.
The plates. I mean, how do they know?
I think they can see faults. I think that is an obvious one.
Yeah. Okay.
But have you seen the movie San Andreas?
You just swallow up whatever they feed you, huh?
I mean, babe, have you literally not seen
Do
San
your
Andreas
research.
starring The Rock?
No, I actually haven't. That's shocking to me. Because I love those movies. I've seen Rampage 5 times. I love Rampage.
The Rock basically saves Los Angeles.
In which one?
From an earthquake.
Because there's 7 movies that counts as.
Well, it's in San Andreas.
Okay. How does he save them? Because I know he's in a helicopter.
He somehow gets a helicopter. He actually just
stop
saves
the
his
Earth?
family.
Okay.
No,
different.
the earthquake has happened. And
it's chaos and he's got to save his family.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's very different than saving Los Angeles.
Yeah. But the way the movie makes you feel, it's like
it feels like he saved the world.
It feels like he saved the world.
Oh, okay. Because in Rampage, he does.
He does.
In Rampage, he's friends with an albino gorilla who's like the smartest.
Well, it's like a sense of humor.
Has like a very dry sense of humor, like a sophisticated British sense of humor, like a very witty, passive aggressive sense of humor.
Yeah,
a whole nother level.
Speaking of The Rock, I did have a note in my phone that I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do with it, but I think I need to deem myself the defender of bald men.
Okay.
Just because I
like it.
I feel like I'm team bald man.
I like it.
Obviously.
Yeah.
And I feel like that seems to be the one insult that
you love Bezos.
I love Bezos. I
you
love The Rock.
Rock.
I love you. You know,
I'm trying to think of a bald man you don't love.
Like Vin Diesel was my first crush.
Yep, Vinny. Trying to think of like a bald man you don't.
Yeah, name a bald man.
Stephen Miller.
Maybe not a Stephen. But not based on his looks, you know?
Not about his looks.
Yeah.
No. Bald King Stephen Miller. Not to be confused with our friend Stephen Miller.
One of our best friends is named Stephen Miller.
And not to be confused with Steve Miller from the Steve Miller Band. I guess it's Miller's like one of the more common last names, and Steve's one of you're going to run into those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do with it yet, but I think I want to make myself the defender of bald men.
I like it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I thought about this the other day. Remember the time I took a picture of a random man because I thought it was Kevin James?
That was when it really solidified how blind you were. Just how blind you, because you knew you took a picture of a random guy. You're like, oh my God, I think it's already Kevin James.
Because we were like parked on the same street.
I was home. You texted it to me.
Yeah. No, but me and this man were parked. Yeah. We were literally right across the street from Warner Brothers. So seeing a celebrity isn't out of the ordinary.
Yeah, we saw them all the time.
Like, yeah, I'm trying to think of who, like we lived right across the street, like above a Whole Foods. And I felt like we'd see celebrities in Whole Foods all the time.
Yeah.
But so it was not out of the realm of possibilities for me to run into Kevin James. Okay?
Not at all.
And I was parked on a street and this man got into his car that was like parked right there and his windows rolled down. And I was like, oh my God, that's Kevin James. And so I'm in my car, like zooming in on my phone to take pictures. And then like he drove away and I looked at it and I was like, oh my God, that's just a man.
Just a man.
That is just a man.
It's just a pretty overweight guy wearing a flat brim backwards hat who's white. And it was so clearly not Kevin James. And you sent it to me and I was like, oh my God, she's so blind. But what I loved is you took the picture, you zoomed on the picture, like, that's not even close.
That's not even We were just talking about that the other day, how like, honestly, for like the first like year of our relationship, I hid pretty good how bad my eyesight actually was.
I had no idea.
Like you used to send me home at midnight.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know you were night blind.
You would just kick me out of your house. Jack would be like, he'd sneak me out the back like a dirty little secret. He'd be like, get out of my house.
Yeah.
Whore.
That's what I would say. Say, I'm done with you.
Yeah.
I said,
you're no use to me anymore, woman.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.
Time for me to go to bed.
That's literally
what slumber. Yeah.
You would say, like, it's time for me to go to bed. And I'd be like, I can stay over.
And I would be like, no.
Meanwhile, I worked a long shift. I would drive home.
Why relitigate the past?
I would drive home.
Why
I just want everyone to know.
6 years later, we live together. I make the bed every night. What did I say to you the other day? Oh, you're like, well, what if I make the bed? I said, I don't want to sleep in the bed that you make.
Yeah.
I make the bed like military.
I know you do.
I'm like crisp sheets. I like it.
Yeah. I don't know if we've talked about Super Blanket. I feel like, how have we not talked about Super Blanket? So probably.
Honestly, I feel like that's a whole story.
Yeah, that's like a whole to do.
That's a whole going through. Well, I'm a bad sleeper.
Yeah.
In general. And honestly, I think that was, if we're being real, that was the real reason why I was like, get out of here. Is like, I wasn't ready to really scare you with just how weird I am.
Yeah.
You know, I was still trying to feel, impress you, you know?
So you would kick me out of your house at midnight to drive home for an hour by myself?
Yeah. So that I wouldn't be like, okay, I'll be up for 3 more hours doing my nighttime routine to get myself to go to bed for a few hours so that I can be functional tomorrow. And you know what? Again, why relitigate the past? I don't understand why we're bringing the past back up.
But now you're aware of how blind I am. So you don't let me drive it.
I don't let you drive when we're approaching. Like, I don't let you drive past like 3 p.m.
I was going to say,
in case the sun goes down.
Especially during the winter. Like if I'm like, I'm going to go to the store, you kind of text me like, you should start heading home.
Yeah, I'm like, come back now.
Like the sun's going to start to set soon. Yeah. It's like, you should come home.
It's almost dusk. Get home. What are you doing? Why? Like, it's why, like at night too. Every time I'm like, oh, we need some of this. I'm like, I'll go right now. Do not get behind the wheel. You can't see shit. You can't see shit during the day. Like at least during the day, you can see objects moving.
Yes.
At night, it's blackness.
Yes. I could see basically where the light is, and that's it.
And it's really funny because you're a nervous Nelly. So when I'm driving I'll be driving, and when I'm driving at night, and if you're night blind, it's kind of like every light is blurry, but like loud, right?
It's like it looks like a big streak.
Yes. So this is my impression. So you have to be watching the video. This is my impression of Michaela sitting shotgun while I'm driving at night. Oh. Oh. Like you constantly think I'm about to hit something. And I'm like, if you could see what I could see, you're like, we're just driving on the highway. You're like, whoa, like everything looks like you're about to get hit.
I'm also a control freak, so it's very hard for me not to be the one driving.
Yeah.
I like it's hard because it's like I actually prefer to drive.
Yes.
But I have to give up my privileges. I have to give you the keys at nighttime. I'm not allowed.
Yeah.
And that's a deal I've made with myself. I can't, if I'm going to drive, I can't drive at night.
That's where I very rarely put my foot down on anything, but that's one where it's like not even
the fact that the DMV basically like gave me a wink to pass me. This previous.
What did the lady say? Like
she looked at me in the eyes and said, "Can you see when you drive?"
Didn't you say like I want to sleep at night?
She said, "Yeah." She's like, "I just want to be able to sleep at night."
Yeah, like
because I failed the eye test that bad.
You thought that they were letters and they were numbers, right?
Yes.
That's pretty bad.
Yeah. It was bad.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie. My heart was racing the entire time. I felt like a real fraud. I didn't know what to do. I don't know what I'm going to do next time.
So I think, because I can't hear very well. That's our version. This is why when we go to parties, it's really funny because it's like at night, you basically can't see anything that's happening. And I can't hear what anyone says.
Yes.
And so we're always just kind of like arm in arm. And I kind of tell you like, oh, blah, blah, blah's over there. And I have no idea what you say back to me. But
I'm there to be the ears.
And you took obviously hearing tests as a kid and stuff.
Yeah.
Like raise your hand for which side?
My grandma and grandpa have a hearing van.
They do.
They do hearing tests at like schools.
I actually want to take it. I've always wanted to say to your grandpa, like, Grandpa Mike, like, can I actually try it?
Yeah.
Because I actually think like, so like we both actually have one bad eye. Like my right eye is really weak. Like it's like I can't really make out anything when
my left eye.
So I like for me, because I can pass an eye exam. I think it's a lot of it's sort of like making up for it by leaning on one thing. Yeah. And for whatever reason, I remember even as a kid being like, I don't think I should pass this hearing test. I think I'm really good at the game. Yeah. Like, that's what I did when I got my license. Like originally was I in line at the DMV, like they just had the hanging sign and I just kind of was memorizing the sign. And that's how I did it. Yeah. But this one was one of the ones where it was like goggles. Like I'd like there was nothing you could do. And also in retrospect, I could have just opened both of my fucking eyes. Yeah, why did you? They wouldn't have known. No. Or they would or they would have really known and been
or there was a camera on the inside.
That's why you didn't do it.
That's what that would have been so embarrassing.
But like I just remember taking hearing tests and they basically say like, okay, when you hear it on the left side, like raise your hand. And I know for a fact that sometimes I wouldn't hear them. Yeah. And I would just raise my arm and they'd be like, good. Yeah. I was like, wow, I nailed that. Nailed it. Like I mean, some of them were just like, raise your hand when you hear the beep. And I'd be like, enough time's passed. Well, do you have to raise it immediately? Yeah. Because I heard it. What if it's like beep, 1, 2, hear it? I mean, technically he did raise his hand after the beep. Yeah. I think that's how he used to pass them. Yeah. We didn't talk about actually, we went to the Bahamas for a wedding. Yeah. The hotel we stayed at, Michael Jordan and Derek Jeter were there. Yes, they were. That was freaking insane. And the hotel wasn't that big. No, so there were 20 rooms. There wasn't that many rooms. And so I remember one morning I woke up to like a booming man's voice in the hallway. It was Michael Jordan. Yeah. I was like, I got woken up by Michael Jordan's voice. That was just kind of a trippy, because it was one of those things where it was like everyone there was like, do you guys know Michael Jordan's here? Yeah. Like it was one of those. It was like, I am aware because there's a 6'6" black guy who stands out more than anyone. But then that also leads to something I still think about every day since then, giggling of, nice woman we know was like, we were just here and Michael Jordan and Derek Jeter were having lunch. And I was like, oh yeah? And they're like, yeah, look at this picture. And in the picture was Derek Jeter and a random black guy. And like I kept on saying, like, that's not Michael Jordan. They didn't believe me. I was like, I think I know what Michael Jordan. I'm aware. I know what Michael Jordan looks like. Do you really think I don't? That guy's shorter than Derek Jeter. Yeah. Derek Jeter, I think he was a tall for a shortstop. I think A-Rod was 6'4". I think he was probably my height. I think he's 6'2". It's 6'6" guy is way bigger than me. Yes. Yeah. And it's just like, it's literally just, that guy was like 30. This dude was like a 30-year-old black guy. He probably worked for the hotel. like with Michael Jordan. Yeah. So funny. Oh my God. That was so funny. I'll tell that story for the rest of the time. I will. Because that's She just showed us a picture of a black guy. It's like Michael Jordan.
It literally was that scene in Game Night. That's what your dad
Barack
said.
Obama.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Oh my God.
Should we do sports gossip or do we have anything else?
I'm down for some sports goss.
Okay. All right. So are you ready for sports gossip?
Hit me, sister.
Okay. So today.
Actually, sorry, side note. Someone yelled at me in the Instagram comments, says that I need to bring the energy back to my Hit Me sisters. And you know what? Note taken, diva.
I didn't want to say anything. I'm kidding.
Sorry. Go again.
Okay. Are you ready for sports gossip?
Hit me, sister.
Okay. So today we're going to be talking about the AFC South. This is our last division.
The last?
The last. We've done all 7 other ones.
So there's 8 total.
8 total.
Okay.
There's 2 leagues, the AFC and the NFC, and each one has 4 divisions in it. North, South, East, West.
Okay. I can, you know what?
There you
I
go.
can keep up with that.
Yeah. Boom. So there's 2 of each direction. So we've done them all. This is the AFC South. Now, before we even start, the AFC South is, one thing that's interesting about the AFC South is that they are by far the youngest division.
Okay, girl.
I know, right? We got the youth. They're like the Gen Z of they're like the Gen Alpha.
Oh my God. Yeah. They're iPad babies.
They're iPad baby. They're literally the iPad baby division.
Yeah.
They like the oldest team is the Indianapolis Colts. And they're like a legit old, like one of the, not the original teams, but they're an old team. Like they played in like the 40s and 50s. But when they did,
That's where Peyton Manning used to play for, right?
yes, it is.
Okay.
But they didn't move to Indianapolis until I think like the mid 80s. They were in Baltimore before that.
Okay.
So even them, like they've basically like Taylor Swift was born like right after they moved to Indianapolis.
Okay.
So it's like not that, isn't it funny with Taylor Swift where it's like everyone knows what year she was born?
Do we?
1989.
I didn't know that.
Did you know the album?
I didn't know those.
Her biggest album is called 1989.
I didn't know that. Sorry.
Girl.
I'm not.
Girl.
No one shoot me on Honest Emoji. I don't know these
I know.
things.
And that's okay.
And I'm not like, oh, I
You
don't
should know that.
And I'm not like, oh, I don't know anything about. Like, I'm
Yeah.
aware of. I just didn't know.
If you didn't know,
I know that she had like some year. I just didn't know what it meant.
Okay. Forgive my wife.
Sorry, diva.
And then you have the Jacksonville Jaguars, which I believe were in 1995. They were founded.
Okay.
Houston Texans, they're the youngest. I believe that was 2002.
Pre or post 9/11?
Well, what year was 9/11?
That was 2001. You're right. You're right. For some reason, I thought it was 2002.
Well, sweetie.
You're right.
What do you think would be worse? Not knowing what year Taylor Swift was born or not knowing. And then the Titans, which I believe were also... Well, so the Tennessee Titans used to be the Houston Oilers.
I kind of like that better.
Their uniforms were great too. But they moved for like a reason. Now there's a team in Houston, the Houston Texans. They're in the same division now. But the Houston Oilers moved to Tennessee, I believe like 97, and then they officially became the Tennessee Titans in 1999. So basically, they're by far the youngest division.
Okay.
Which means they actually have the smallest fan bases too.
Okay.
Which is interesting. It's also why we did this one last. We got by far the fewest calls for this division.
Yes.
And it was really funny because after we posted our last one, all of a sudden I started seeing some do the AFC South and was like, there you are.
There you are.
You were hidden by all of the other people for all of the other divisions or whatever. But okay, so I'm going to describe the AFC. Okay, so I'm going to describe the AFC South to you.
Okay.
By comparing them to romantic comedies.
Ooh, rom-coms.
Yeah, because it's actually really interesting. The way that, like, they all have very unique relationships with their quarterbacks.
Okay.
The way that, like, in rom-coms, the lead character has a relationship with whoever the opposite sex lead character is.
Or same.
No, I'm not doing any gay rom-coms. I'm kidding. So the Jacksonville Jaguars are Drew Barrymore's character in Never Been Kissed.
Okay.
Okay, they are a perpetually single, like they've had a few quarterbacks here and there. I guess she was like a complete virgin, but they're a perpetually single team. They would, kind of be like dating a guy like Blake Bortles for a while. I guess they had Mark Brunell like in like the 90s, but that's way long ago. They never could find it. They could never find their mans.
Yeah, the one.
Until they found their current quarterback, their current love, Trevor Lawrence. And everybody's like, oh my God, he is freaking perfect. The same way that Drew Barrymore ended up with Michael Vartan at the end of Never Been Kissed. And they're like, oh my God, she found literally the perfect guy.
Yeah.
Here's where they get really similar though.
Okay.
The more, as time goes on, people are starting to sort of question whether or not Trevor Lawrence is really everything we thought he was.
Yeah.
And as time goes on, in hindsight, Michael Vartan's character in Never Been Kissed isn't really, I mean, like he was her teacher.
Perhaps questionable.
It was questionable. Like like, yeah, technically she's like actually 30, but he found that out like 12 minutes before they kissed.
He didn't know that.
And they were kind of flirting.
You don't really decide to kiss someone in 12 minutes.
No. And they were like flirting and kind of like when he was her teacher. So it's like, is he that perfect as we thought he was?
I would say probably not.
So that's sort of how it is. And granted, it's like Trevor Lawrence has ton of potential. Same with Michael Barton. But yeah. The Indianapolis Colts are forgetting Sarah Marshall. They're Jason Segel's character in Forgetting Sarah Marshall.
Okay.
They're a team where they, like Jason Segel's character, they fairly recently had a very serious relationship. In fact, they had 2 back-to-back very serious relationships with Peyton Manning and then Andrew Luck.
Okay.
And ever since then, after they kind of got divorced, broken up with what have you, they've been just sort of like dancing around, like rebounding with people everyone knows isn't the one.
Yeah.
And everybody you're with, you're like, oh, that could work. And it does work for a minute. Mm-hmm. Not perfect.
For lack of a better term, fucking around.
They're fucking around.
Yeah.
They're really fucking around.
They're in like a non-committal part of their life right now.
Absolutely. And they're looking for a love. But
they're romantic at heart, but they're a little scorned.
Every year, literally since Andrew Luck left, I think every year they're with a different man's.
Okay.
Yeah. The Houston Texans are Reese Witherspoon and Legally Blonde. Okay.
What, like it's hard?
Like Reese, the Houston Texans thought that they found the one. Mm-hmm. I mean, like they found their man's.
Yeah.
Only for Reese and the Texans and all of us to learn he is not who we thought he was.
He is not who we thought he
Deshaun Watson is not the man's we thought he was. In fact, he's kind of a scumbag.
Yeah. To put it lightly.
Just like, what's the character's name?
I was just about to say, what the fuck's his name? Warner. Yeah, and Warner's not a good guy considering he breaks up with Reese Witherspoon literally at a romantic dinner when she thought that she was getting engaged. That's like nightmare fuel.
It's nightmare fuel. But then, like Reese, the Houston Texans basically just turn around and fall ass backwards into like the perfect guy. For them, it's CJ Stroud. For Reese, it's Luke Wilson.
Bend and snap.
And then finally, the Tennessee Titans are Ryan Reynolds' character and Definitely Maybe. Okay?
Okay.
They are really perpetually single. They're constantly bouncing around. Every now and then you're like, oh, this guy, he'll fit here and there. Like literally Definitely Maybe is just about Ryan Reynolds being like, hey, I dated every woman in New York. They've basically dated every quarterback in the NFL.
And they're just not, they've been exposed to too many.
They've been exposed to too many. It's like maybe one day they'll find their person, and I guess sort of at the end of the movie, it's like implies that maybe he's not getting divorced, but I don't know. It sort of ends up single. And right now they're definitely single.
Yeah. They're still looking for the one.
They're still really looking for the one. And there you go. The AFC South is romantic comedies.
Rom-coms. Bitch.
And then we'll next week we'll go over, we'll be on to new sports and stuff.
Yeah, we're going to be
March Madness.
Squeezing into some March Madness.
And then a little bit after that, start a baseball season, baby.
Yes. And
it'll be interesting. Mm-hmm. It's going to be interesting because it's like, it's going to be hard not to get into the weeds.
I know. It's so funny. The 2 weeks we missed, you actually got into like hockey for a second there.
Oh, how could you not? The Kachuk brothers.
I know. I was going to say kind of sucky that we missed that.
I know. But it was funny though, because it's like, that is the one sport that I'll concede. I don't know. And I wish there's like a part of me that's like, would you trade all of your sports knowledge that you have in the other 3 sports for hockey knowledge? And part of me is like, kind of, man.
You think so?
Hockey's awesome. Hockey's so cool.
Sick. Yeah.
Like I know very little about it because I never played it and I don't know the rules very well. And it's kind of hard to watch on TV. It's
straightforward.
It is pretty straightforward, except for like, it's not in the way it's kind of like football though, where it's like a lot of the like, you're right, it's straightforward, and with a certain
football is not straightforward.
Yeah, to me it's like
there's like 10 million different things going on in football.
But it's because I speak that language. I'm like, well, yeah, of course.
For like, it's like soccer, hockey, basketball. It's get the thing into the goal.
Yes. In this one, you're on ice and with sticks. In this one, you can't use your hands, and in this one, you have to bounce it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all the same game, just different forms of how to get it to the goal.
See, basketball makes more sense to me because it's like, honestly, offsides is always the penalty where I'm like, okay, it's been explained to me. I get it. But I think you have to play it to really be like, okay, wait, I can't do like it.
But it's like, that's the most complicated part of it though. And that's kind of it. With football, it's like, well, there's this down and then there's this and then there's and I'm like, And then we all put on our hats and we ride the unicorn away. Like
I apologize to you because my two sports are football and baseball, easily the nerdiest sports.
Yeah.
Where it's like, well, actually, if you use this rule says you can do that.
I understand baseball a little bit better now that I'm aware that the ball can touch the ground.
Can I just say, as much as I want to believe you, I kind of need to see it to believe it. I think you do. I think you do.
I'm not saying I know it all, but I'm saying I can follow it a little bit better.
Yes. Whereas football, you're right. It's really hard to follow. Like, why are they taking a knee?
It's a fucking poem. Like it's a It's a riddle
where they're Shakespeare.
Like, and then if he turns around and do this, it's actually a foul because he touched this guy. And I'm like, what do you mean? He's not allowed to touch that guy? Like, he is the talking stick. Like, what is this game?
You're like, why is there a penalty there? It's like, well, because he threw the ball forward, and it's like,
are they not all doing that?
It's like, not when you're past the line of scrimmage. What does that even mean? What does that mean? Yeah, football is silly, and baseball is really silly too.
The girl who did my hair for our wedding, we were talking about like football or whatever, and she said to me, like, one of the best things ever that was like, honestly, she's like, football is a sport made up by boys. Like where it's like, and then like, where it's like, and then like, and it's all, and it's like, yeah, that's the best way to describe it. It was a sport made up by boys.
Yes. And we like it that way. And it's funny. It's like there's kind of really can divide sports into two things of sports where every now and then you have to wait and the play happens and then it's over. And that's football, baseball, volleyball. Mm-hmm. And then there's sports where it's just go. And that's soccer, basketball, hockey. Yeah. And it seems...
Also, volleyball does kind of move a little quicker.
It moves quicker, but it stops. Okay, new serve.
Yeah, that's
like
true.
A pitch. Mm-hmm. Or like a football play. Where it's
that's
like
true.
Football, they really burn some clock by huddle up, decide what you're going to do. Baseball... But
I have a lot of grievances with football. I'm going to get into it one of these days.
Do it.
I'm going to write down everything that I have an issue with. Mm-hmm. And we'll go over it.
And you know what you'll sound like? An NFL fan. Because everybody's upset with the NFL all the time. Like, this is a stupid rule. It's like, yeah. And then they're going to change it in 5 years. And they say, go back to how it was. And that's basically the life of an NFL fan.
Yeah.
Anyway, there anything else?
I don't think so. I'm trying to think. We will be back next week.
Don't make promises you can't keep.
We are.
We definitely will be back.
We'll be back.
Yeah.
Kids, first and foremost, take your vitamin C. Wash your hands. Don't get this disease that's going around. Also, because we are just around each other basically 24/7. We see other people like once a month. Like maybe. I think we have like just a horrible immune system.
Well, we don't see groups of people.
No.
We see people. We don't see large groups. And that's where you get sick. And I think a lot of people, if you work in an office, you're always with a large group of germs.
Yeah, or at school or
diverse
whatever.
Germs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're just with each other's germs.
Yeah. And so we get very used to it. We're very fragile. We're the immune systems of a small child. We basically have the immune systems of like a premature child.
Yeah. Oh, can you see it?
What?
I was going to say, I changed my hair. I forgot to address that.
I like kind of just keeping it vague. See if they notice. I don't know. I can't see it in that one. But we can definitely see it because your hair looks different.
Yeah, my hair does look different. But it just sometimes in different lighting, you can't really tell. My hair's a little bit lighter.
Mm-hmm. And so is mine, but thanks for noticing. No one ever notices.
No one ever notices.
Always the bridesmaid, Jack.
Always the bridesmaid.
Anyway, that's the pod. Towel off. Love you guys.
See you guys next week.